Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Coaching Call podcast with myself, Ben, and Lloyd. Last podcast that would have been out would have been with your wife, Mel, that came on as a guest. So by the time you're watching this, if you haven't watched that one, then what you're doing, you go back and watch the other ones, please. It won't take up too many hours of your time.
Yeah.
But I think today we're going to go in with, I believe it's...
So we're doing, overrated or underrated. And we've got a list of very random topics.
Fantastic.
And we're essentially going to give our opinion on what we think about it.
Yeah.
And whether we think it's an overrated method or technique or whatever, or underrated. Yeah.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, how controversial are we going? Are we going like into the depths?
As controversial as we want, mate.
We're saying like...
Just give our opinion, and if it's controversial, it's controversial.
Anabolics.
Yeah. Well, there's actually no drug-related stuff on here, unfortunately.
No.
That would have been more fun,
We've just
actually.
lost half the audience.
Yeah, that would have been more fun. Maybe in future. Well, to re-engage that audience in future, we'll do Tran.
This is only number 4. Oh, massively underrated.
Yeah. I mean, let's go. Let's go
in.
So, cold water immersion. So that kind of encompasses ice baths, really.
Yeah.
Ice baths, ice showers. What do you think, man?
I think from a muscular recovery standpoint, no, not really. I think it's overrated. Obviously, the real reason why people do cold therapy is it allows you to, it incurs a stress response, and it allows you to get familiar with putting yourself under stress and therefore recovering from stress better. I think not a lot of people know that part of it. There's not necessarily, yes, there are muscular benefits, but it's more so about the stress response and recovering from stress. So I do think it's overrated. I've done it a couple of times.
It's horrible, man.
Yeah, it also sucks.
Did you like it? You didn't like it? Yeah.
Did I like it? I don't think...
I've done it a couple of times myself, and I find when you get out, it's quite relaxing, it's quite peaceful, because you've done such a stressful thing. I think after that you can be quite relaxed, but that's the only benefit I would say from it. The research on the recovery benefits is pretty sparse.
That's what I was saying with the stress response. As part of the reason why you're so relaxed when you get out is because you get in and it obviously signals such a high spike in cortisol stress, because it's just like you're putting yourself in an extreme environment basically. And that's where it can be beneficial, because it can get an individual used to being in a very, very, very high stress environment, and you have to focus on your breathing, you have to control your heart rate, and there can be benefits there to people who are maybe like potentially someone who's in a very high stress job might actually benefit from hot cold therapy. But yeah,
I agree. I'm pretty much on the same wavelength there. Yeah, I think it's pretty overrated. Obviously, we've gone through a wave the last kind of year or two, people getting ice baths and doing them every day in the morning. I suppose that's the kind of only place I would use it, is to get that stress response, wake yourself up in the morning, wake your nervous system up.
Just have a cold shower though.
Yeah. So cold showers, if anyone's listening, are actually worse, because with the cold baths or the ice tubs, the initial layer of water around your skin, when you're sitting still, it warms up slightly. So if you're in a cold shower, you never really build up that warm layer of liquid around you. So the cold shower is constantly like cold. It's really hard actually. Yeah, I've tried one of those before, and you think it's going to get better, and it doesn't.
I've tried cold shower before. It was not like this was way back at the start of like training and stuff. Like someone on YouTube said, or someone like that was like, "Oh, dude, cold shower in the morning, it wakes you up." It does.
Yeah, it does.
It does. But no, I'm good, bro.
Yeah. I mean, ice baths, they're pretty, I'd say they're overrated. Most people do them from a recovery perspective, but as you say, the research is very sparse on if it actually does much for that.
Well, an easy way to ascertain whether or not we believe that overrated or underrated. Would you ever recommend to your clients to do one as a recovery tool?
Not for a recovery tool, no.
So I'd say overrated then instantly from that. Same. I've never once said to one of my clients, do you know what, mate? I've said, use deep heat and deep freeze spray for like something that's caused a strain in the muscle. I've never once been like, do you know what you'll benefit from, bro? Go jump in an ice bath.
So the thing is, it's horrible as well. You're telling someone to do something very horrible on a regular basis. Yeah. That's just not great.
I've told my parents to do it before.
Did they do it?
Yeah, because I've got one at my parents' house. No. No.
I mean, this kind of links in with the next one, though, saunas. So, cold water immersion, overrated.
Yep.
Saunas, where are we at with that one?
You kick this one off.
I mean, I like saunas. I like saunas because they are really the opposite. Ice and cold therapy is going to restrict blood flow, which has some benefits, but saunas and anything hot, it's going to increase blood flow. And that, in theory, in terms of mechanistically, that should make more sense in terms of benefiting your recovery. So I'm a big fan. I've actually got an infrared sauna, and Mel fills it with loads of crap, annoyingly, so it's like an extra storage cupboard, which is really annoying. Cheers, Mel.
I remember when I saw that on your Instagram, I saw that you had an infrared sauna at your house, and I was just like,
yeah, I just got it off Facebook Marketplace though. It's fine. It's good. It's good.
Does it cost a bomb to run?
Don't
Fair
know.
enough.
I don't know. People ask me those questions. Same about the aircon unit that I've got. They're like, "Oh, isn't it really
Yeah.
expensive?" I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But might be.
I don't compare the bills, to be honest with you. But yeah, I like them. I think it's also the mental headspace it puts you in. They're quite nice. They're quite comfortable. They're enjoyable. So saunas for me are a good time to spend, 10, 15, 20 minutes away from your phone, away from technology. And honestly, it's time to have them unplugged, which is pretty rare these days. Generally, people are always consuming music, podcasts, you name it. There's always something going in here, whereas, saunas are a rare opportunity where you can sit down and
I agree.
process your thoughts. Yeah.
I agree. I think as well, like saunas, again, it's like if you're really going to deep it, we could say there is so much versatility in what people use them for. For example, weight cutting, and things like that. Whilst risky, be careful. I was watching another podcast. I'm not going to promote another podcast on our podcast. So watch our podcast.
There's no other podcast.
But yeah, there's none other matter. But I was watching podcasts and some like high level prep coaches were talking about what they've seen, like with some people doing when it comes to dehydration and sauna. And some horror stories that happen there. So it's like, there's the risk there, but there's always a risk in high level.
Yeah.
Like when you go into that level anyway. But so, you've got that like water cutting. If you need to cut water or you need to make weight, saunas can be amazing. And that's not even like a primary response. Like you said, they are relaxing. They do, they open up your pores, they sweat out toxins, all of those things that I'd say, again, overrated or underrated. Again, I'd potentially, as a recovery tool, if we're talking about that, I'd probably say overrated. Because again, how often I don't really jump in a sauna. I think there are much better ways to recover. But as a recovery from a relaxation standpoint, yeah. So I'd actually thinking about it, going right full circle, I'd probably go overrated.
Yeah.
Because I think again, I'm asking myself, would I ever say to one of my clients, in terms of recovery, which is in essence what it's there for, go to a sauna? That wouldn't be on my list. I'd be more sports massage therapy. How are you sleeping? Drinking water, moving. So
this is a big topic to because I personally think recovery. There's actually nothing really you can do to improve recovery. It's really sleep, it's protein, and once you've maximised your recovery from those really and managing stress levels, things like that, I don't think there's anything else you could really do. People always kind of
sports massage therapy.
So again, I would say I told you before the podcast started. One of the ones we've got here is foam rolling, and that was actually what I did my first dissertation on. And the mechanism as to how massage works, and a lot of it's your nervous system. You're kind of tricking your body for a certain outcome. So massage, the only benefit I would say is very similar to saunas, where it increases blood flow. The increase in blood flow should shuttle nutrients to the muscle in theory, but if the muscle already has enough nutrients from protein, whatever, the recovery's already been maximized. I would say the big issue with recovery is people do too much in the first place. So it's a really complicated topic, actually, and we're kind of going off on a tangent there. But saunas, I would say, because they're quite easy and enjoyable to do, I'd say they're pretty neutral and leaning slightly more into the underrated. Actually, I wouldn't say they're underrated. I'd say they're pretty neutral. There's a slap bang in the middle, I'd say. Because increasing blood flow, there's no real harm in doing that. But yeah, you said about the weight cutting stuff. That's where it gets sketchy, especially for bodybuilders, because boxers, they have a specific amount of weight they can lose in terms of percentage of their body weight.
Yeah, exactly.
Before it affects their brain.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But bodybuilders don't really listen to that, and they've got diuretics in the mix, which that's where things get crazy, and people do stupid shit to get on stage, and that's kind of crazy. But yeah, I'd say it's pretty neutral. Pretty neutral. Next, fasted cardio. Where are we at with that one?
I'm going to say it's underrated, but because I can't see any justification as to why people would say it's overrated. I think it's very good for time. If you're a busy individual, just get your cardio box off first thing in the morning. Easy. It can, set up your digestion for the day, gets you moving before you have any food in. It's also just simply you'll get it done. If it's the first thing you've done in the day, you're not going to have that risk of you do a whole day of work, you're knackered after work, and then you're like, I've got to do cardio. I'll do it tomorrow. And you get into that cycle. If you just box it off first thing in the morning, it's done. You don't have to think about it. I think because of that, and because there are still people that say and maybe focus too much on doing it fasted versus later on doesn't burn as much, doesn't make any difference in terms of fat loss. Ignore that. It is, in my opinion, far more practical in the morning. So I'd say underrated.
I'd agree. I think logistically, it does make a lot more sense to box it off first thing in the morning. I think this one really depends on how advanced the individual is, though. Like if it's your average Joe or just Gen Pop, just trying to lose a bit of body fat, I don't think it really matters. But if you're someone like yourself, trying to get staged lean and there's a stubborn area of body fat, I think fasted cardio, when you add all the pieces together with, potentially clenbuterol usage, yohimbine, which obviously only works in a fasted state anyway, which the theory is good on that. The research is slightly sketchier, but if you were to bring all these tools together, it does sometimes make it a little bit more sensitive.
You can definitely incur more lipolysis.
I've been a fan of it, man. I'm not going to lie. I've done it myself in the past. I did Lyle McDonald's rapid fat loss protocol, and that was, if I remember correctly, it was 5 minutes of a higher intensity cardio, and then you catch your breath, and then you go into a steady state of cardio, and that's supposed to help mobilize and then oxidize body fat. And you do that in a fasted state. So yohimbine, caffeine, things to help, again, mobilize body fat. And the theory makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think the issue is it's very hard to study. It's very, very hard to actually have participants that are going to do that consistently, where you're controlling all variables and actually measure very, very lean individuals and whether they're having body fat loss. If there's an improvement in body fat loss, it's very hard to test. So I don't think we're ever going to get evidence on that, but I like it. The theory's good. So I'd say it's underrated as well, mate.
Yeah, but what you said there as well is completely accurate. I think when you combine obviously all the lipolytics and things like that, you can, like, whether the science could be looked at in one thing, but I think even without looking deep into the science, there makes a lot of sense that you would drive potential for more lipolysis in that particular state. What you said, one thing you said that I think was really important is it depends on the individual. Yeah. For individuals like bodybuilders, etc., people who are doing it to that level absolutely can benefit from it. People who wouldn't do it later on in the day absolutely benefit from it. But an average Joe, for one thing, because I've got clients who have said to me, do you think it'd be beneficial doing fasted cardio? I'm like, you can do fast cardio if you think it's going to get it done, but you don't have cardio equipment at your home. So are you going to get up that early, get yourself to the gym, get your cardio done, shower at the gym, and then go? In that regard, for that individual, if you're not going to block out that extra time for it, it's not worth it. If you've got a spin bike at home, I'd always say to people, it's worth to get up, get it done if you're not doing it. So
logistically, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And the other drug I didn't mention was growth hormone there. That's obviously another lipolytic that does play a part in fasted cardio.
People often don't talk about that much. Like, you can use it acting as... I do think, personally for me though, I've done growth hormone split morning, evening in my fasted state with lipolytics. I would now just all pre-bed. Yeah. So you get so much more benefit. It takes about
3-4 hours to peak in your bloodstream anyway. So if you're pinning that first thing in the morning and your cardio is in half an hour's time, it's not going to work anyway. People don't get that right.
Growth hormone, you're going to get so much more benefit from it pre-bed and having a high count through your sleep anyway.
So you just do 20 IUs before bed?
Yeah. I wish.
Which is quite a lot.
If like money was no object, I'd be more than happy to like I see like so the people like there's someone who I can name individually. That people watching this will probably know, but put online that like going into their peak week, like they were doing 50 an IU a day. I just thought to myself, I was like, all right, money back.
Yeah, it's quite common to see higher doses, especially in the bigger guys. But fasted cardio, we're fans of it. Yeah, underrated. Yeah,
definitely.
Right, this is an interesting one. Training twice a day, which I should probably put a bit of context on this from the bullet point I've written down here. Probably weight training, because obviously we could just say fasted cardio in the day, and that's kind of their two thing. So weight training twice a day. So is it underrated or overrated to split up the muscles that you're training? I personally would say, I actually don't know.
Do you know what?
I don't really have an opinion.
This is a really, really interesting one, because I have seen recently, I don't know if it's like retrending or something like that, but people, I saw a specific podcast that had Jay Cutler talking about training twice a day and how people nowadays are afraid to do the work and do the hard stuff and train as hard. And they were talking about, Tom Platz, whose leg days were 20 sets, like each muscle group. And Jay Cutler was talking about how he would train twice a day and do this and do that. And they were saying, like, I was never overtrained. I always recovered, blah, blah, blah. So you have that group of individual. Then, and like they were basically saying, like, name one person who trains for like 45 minutes to an hour, who makes top progress. I forgot one of the most iconic names in bodybuilding, Dorian Yates. So it's like he was known for his low volume, 45 to an hour of just absolute max effort intensity sessions. So training twice a day, again, I would say massively overrated, because one, unless you have a home gym or your gym's on your doorstep, it's going to take so much time out of your day. Two, realistically, your split's going to have to be so versatile that you're going to be looking at, say you'd still probably do like push, pull, lower, for example, but if you're going twice a day, you might do push, you might do chest, and then come back for shoulders and arms, and then back, and then come back for biceps and rear delts, and then lower you might do quads and hamstrings. I couldn't see that being a good thing, because I feel like, me personally, like yesterday's session is very quad focused. That session cooks me. I do that in the morning. I'm like, by the evening, I'm not going to the gym again.
Yeah.
I'm on the sofa, like on my ass. So I would say overrated.
Yeah, I'd say the same, to be honest, man. I've tried things like this before. I remember when I was doing fasting cardio in the gym years ago for a prep, I was doing calves and abs first thing in the morning before I would do my cardio. Did I notice a difference to doing it now? No, not really. But the one thing I do think about is logistically the time thing as well. You know, you've got to warm up for that session in the morning a little bit, and you've got to do the same thing. It's just, you got to get yourself going twice, and I don't really like that, to be fair. So yeah, I'm not a big fan. I don't think it's needed, put it that way. I get the logic, you know. Say you got 15 sets in a session. If you were to do 5 elsewhere and 10, you know, later in the day, maybe, whatever, technically the performance could be better, but how much better? I'm not a fan. So I'd say overrated. Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, let's bin that one.
I have done it before though as well. I've had someone like recommend that I do 2 sessions per day.
Yeah.
At the age I was like, I was in a summer at uni, like it's the first year uni summer. So I was like, I got time, I'll do it. But it's no.
It's kind of a scheduling nightmare as well, trying to get 2 sessions in, right? I mean, next one, training to failure. So, you know, is this one overrated or underrated?
That's a really hard question.
I think this depends on the individual again. Like for more advanced individuals, I think sometimes they can push it maybe too far. I personally wouldn't say there's too far, because training past failure isn't really a thing, in my personal opinion. I think if you're pushing yourself to the point where your form is breaking down, you're getting injured, and that's the only downside to training to failure, I'd say you've just done it wrong. Like, you've hit failure and tried to push past it, which isn't possible, and now you've gone injured, which is not training to failure's fault. That's your fault for misjudging where your failure point was.
I agree with that. I think when it comes to training to failure, I think I'd put it as perfectly rated at the moment, because I think most people understand you need to train to failure. What people, I think, don't, people who have the wrong idea of what failure is, and they think that failure is past failure, like you said. For me, like when I'm training, a perfect example is yesterday I did a hack squat. The last rep I didn't move by itself. I started shifting it. I was like, this wasn't moving. Someone had to come in and assist me to the top. I then didn't do additional reps with assistance, because I've hit failure. I've trained to failure, because I cannot lift anything by myself. Set, done.
Yeah.
Because the science behind, obviously, again, ignoring the science behind, the common sense behind, once you have maximized everything out of a set that you can do within your capabilities with good form, good posture, good tempo, etc., etc., where's the benefit of going to especially partial reps, assisted reps? In my opinion, the only thing you're going to incur a higher chance of is injury.
And you're just accruing more fatigue, you know. I know that's getting a lot of banter at the moment, people saying about the fatigue thing, but realistically, if you've hit failure, you've recruited the most amount of high threshold motor units that you can recruit. Anything past that, you're just kind of wasting your time.
Exactly.
It's more stress in your body, more stress in your nervous system, and you're essentially potentially ruining the rest of your session. And maybe even your next session if you're digging a big hole for yourself in terms of nervous system fatigue. So yeah, I would say training to failure is pretty neutral. Yeah, I'd say where it's underrated is for beginners, because you've probably known, working with a lot of individuals yourself, training to failure sometimes takes people a little while to wrap their head around. Pushing themselves that hard and understanding why they need to do that and why it's more logical to do that. I mean, you referenced Jay Cutler earlier. He's someone he's well known for not training to failure and doing high volume, but he would probably be getting a close proximity to failure still, probably kind of 4 or 5 reps, and then he just made up for that with more volume. So it still worked out well. I think if he would just do, instead of like 4 or 5 sets per exercise, if he just did 2 sets to failure, he would have got the same results. Obviously, he'd be lifting crazy loads, so the injury risk for him would be a lot higher, which I get why he didn't want to do that, and it's worked out pretty well for him, right? But I'd say training to failure for most people is pretty neutral in the middle there.
Well, it's like what you said there as well was like here we talk about Jay Cutler and like when you talk about Jay Cutler, and beginners now, like the Jay Cutler style of training, I would actually is how I kind of look at starting with beginners, because that could be clipped and I could sound like such a twit. Hear me out.
You're right, because a lot of beginners can't train to failure, can they?
Because as well, it's about I look at individuals who've not really got much experience lifting before, and I think we talked about this before, where we said successful repetitions or actual useful repetitions where high volume is very, very good for beginners in the gym. Low volume is good for people who are more advanced, because if you're looking at doing six rep set, you say 6 reps to failure. If someone cannot lift a weight properly and they do 2 useful reps, and then the other 4 are nowhere near close failure because they don't know what failure is yet, and they're poor form, poor execution, that person's not making any progress. You're better off saying to them, I want you to do 20 reps for this set without potentially a failure threshold for 3-4 sets. Because that way, even if only 50% of those repetitions are effective reps, across 3-4 sets, you're still getting 30-40 quality repetitions, as opposed to 2 across 3 sets, you're only getting 6. So that's what I'd say.
I did see a post the other day, and this guy was listing a load of different bodybuilders and how all their training was different and how everyone trains differently. And I nearly commented saying, well, actually, they're technically all doing the same thing. They're all training with a very close proximity to failure, whether it's to failure or 4 or 5 reps from failure. But anyway, that's training to failure. Pretty neutral on that one. Lifting belts. This is an interesting one. I've discussed this with people like this because I personally have worn a lifting belt once in my life. I didn't really like it. It felt a bit weird when I was doing back squat. So I'm pretty neutral, but leaning more towards overrated. Actually, I think they're definitely overrated. I don't think many people need a lifting belt, to be honest with you. I don't think they need that extra core stability. I think you can, there's a lot of people out there lifting raw, and they don't need this stuff. I feel like people think they need it, and I'm seeing people in the gym use it because it's a cool accessory. I'm seeing that a lot of people are using these, the wrist straps, I'd say, are a little bit different, but they're using the knee sleeves, they're using the elbow sleeves, the lifting belt, sometimes all on at the same time. Like, what kind of exercise are you doing here? And it's not needed, right? I think people, number one, don't know how to use them properly and don't really need them most of the time.
Especially wrist wraps. People never know how to wrap those.
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah. Everyone wrist, they wrap it there, and it's like wrist, and it just does nothing. Yeah.
No. Do you know what, this is a difficult one for me to actually talk about, because obviously I do like lifting belts specifically is different, but in regards to like elbow wraps, knee wraps, or not knee wraps, sorry, knee sleeves, I do really like. But obviously I could be like, because obviously I got a hard body sponsorship, so people would look and be like,
you got to say,
I would say that, yes. If you're going at Ben 10,
I mean, you used them before that though, weren't you? Right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think when you get to a certain point where, I think a lot of people lifting weights, the way that I look at it is, I've said this before, either on this podcast or on my Instagram or somewhere, I've said about how your tendons and your joints, they don't get stronger with your muscles. Your muscles will get progressively stronger over time. So the tendons and joints that you're lifting a weight through will be the same tendons and joints since when they stopped developing through adolescence and into adulthood. So say, for example, if I use myself as an individual, if hypothetically my tendons, my ligaments, all of that stuff, they stopped fully developing and getting their structure, blah, 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 by 18 years old. My muscles at that age were lifting, I think I was 18 years old, I was probably bench pressing 90 kilos. Or bench press, by example, I don't do that now, but let's say like I was pressing 80, 90 kilos. Through that joint, at that age, that joint could bear that load. My musculature was able to produce that load. Over the last 10 years, the same joint is having to incur probably 3 times that load on the presses. And so I think as you progress through in that sense, as you get a lot stronger, you can benefit from the extra support through a knee sleeve or an elbow sleeve. I think when it comes to squatting and potentially RDLing are the only 2 movements that I now use a squat belt or a lifting belt, because it allows you just to exert a little bit more intra-abdominal pressure. And personally for me, like Cuba doesn't like it. I said to him, I do feel, whether it's a placebo or whether it is because of that intra-abdominal force, I feel like I get more stability in a lift when I use it.
That is supposed to be a thing, yeah. You should be stronger in your midsection. You should be able to get an extra 5-10 kilo.
But what you said is absolutely fact. I think when I see like young, like for example, I did not use these things, or I did a couple of times when I was 17, 18, 19. I had all the gear. No idea is the common expression. That's where you're like, right, take away the things that are going to give you assistance, take away the things that are going to give you unnecessary support, learn how to lift using just your body raw. Then as you progress and you need that support, then you can look at utilizing things such as knee sleeves, elbow sleeves. I think if you're a power lifter, maybe there's a lot more essence of maybe use them a bit younger to, because if you're a power lifter, you're lifting in the name, probably beyond your means potentially. In bodybuilding, you get to a certain point, like for me now, I can feel my knees at the bottom of a squat. When I'm at the bottom of a deep squat, I'm pushing, when I'm doing 10 reps, I can feel my knees. They're a little bit, they're not what they were 5 years ago. Sound like I'm saying that, sounds like I'm 40, but they're not. Knee sleeve takes that away. So,
yeah,
very long-winded way of saying, use my code Ben10 at Hardbody. But yeah, I do think that they're potentially, I'd put it balanced.
Yeah,
I think some people overrate them, some people underrate them.
The thing is with elastic sports, the only one I'm more like keen on is the wrist straps when people use them properly, because you are really supporting and limiting the range of motion through a fairly weak joint for a lot of people, especially if you're lifting quite heavy weights. That's the only one I'm a big fan of, because that actually does solve a problem. But the elbow sleeves and knee sleeves, my issue with those is what they actually do. Like, obviously there's a lot more force going through the knee, but all it really does is it's elastic. Some people say it warms the joint up. Fair enough. I've worn trousers before and it can do that. And I like the knee being warm. I wouldn't say that's necessarily a massive issue, but really where it helps is the elastic bounce at the bottom.
Yeah.
So essentially it's making the movement easier at the bottom. Mm-hmm. I also question whether that's not good for results sometimes. Say like a hack squat, they would say that the length and range is better for hypertrophy. So if you're wearing a thick knee sleeves and you're coming down to the bottom of the movement and it's unloading by a handful of kilo, is that a good thing? I don't know.
Where I say, and because I've heard that argument before, what like applicable with usually like double ply or 7mm like knee sleeves, for example, in that exact case. I would agree if it was a tall relative to the weight. Think about the elasticity. What do you reckon if you were using the force elasticity relative to kilos of a 7mm knee sleeve on a 4-plate hat squat? How much help do you think that takes out of the bottom?
Well, this is the thing though. If it's not much, there's no point wearing them in the first place.
Yeah. But again, this is where I'm saying I don't feel any different in terms of the weight load on me when I've done squatting without the knee sleeve versus with.
What do you wear them then?
Because I said at the bottom, I can feel my knee takes a little bit more. I get, like at the top of your knee here. When I do squatting, like I can feel it now. I've always got a little bit of, it feels like an ache there. That's a very weird thing to do on the podcast. I forgot we were on a podcast there.
So what do you think the knee sleeve is doing there?
I think it's just providing a bit of support. Well, it might be, like I said, it might be placebo.
It could be placebo. This is the thing.
It's working.
That's a big thing. Placebo is real. If someone's put some knee sleeves on and they feel support, and I think sometimes that's what it is. Same goes.
But I think that maybe if it is literally, so say for instance, I'm coming down to that like proper bend. I don't know what I'm doing right now.
Full flexion, yeah.
Full flexion, yeah. Even if it's just giving you that bounce out of the deep pit, which is where you're going to feel the tension the most. If it takes away the pain in that bit, you're still going to get emphasis through the muscle in that bit and allows you to drive out instead of only being able to come to here. I'll take that benefit all day.
Yeah. This is where things get complicated because you can choose leg exercises that unload at the bottom, like a pendulum squat.
Yeah. Or you can reverse band a Cybex.
You can reverse band. So I think the thing is with sleeves, I think people see other people wearing them, potentially lifting heavier loads. And it's normally the younger crowd I see like reaching for all of these bits of gear. And it's like they've got a gym bag full of stuff. I don't even have a gym bag. I walk into the gym with a bottle of water. And I like that. And I think I am actually I'm a little bit biased. I can't be asked, mate.
Really?
If I do need them, I go find them somewhere in the gym.
Oh, fair enough.
I just there's like a box full of crap, and I just rubbish
fair
it.
enough.
But honestly, I like rocking up to the gym, absolutely no equipment, and just doing my thing and just lifting as heavy as I can. There was a time I've tried elbow sleeves, and honestly, they just didn't do much. I've found for a lot of people, there's like an issue with their training, especially when it comes to elbows. They're normally doing something wrong, and there's some poor alignment, or there's some kind of rotational forces on the elbow that cause them to have elbow pain. So they've got an actual problem in their programming that's causing, there's a dysfunction there. It's causing issues, and they're trying to mask that problem with some elbow sleeves, and it generally doesn't work. Because again, the elbow sleeve, all it does is just take a little bit of stress out of this bottom range. That's not going to solve your problem, especially if there's alignment issues in your arm work. But yeah, to be honest, I think they're overrated because I see too many people wear them in the gym and just they're equipped unnecessarily, and they're doing something wrong a lot of the time. Some people are doing too much volume, giving them some joint pain, and then they're trying to use equipment to make up for that, and that's never going to make up for it. So yeah, I think they're overrated personally.
Some people definitely try and mask issues like, oh, my back's feeling a bit stiff today, I'm going to put a belt on. I'm like, if anything, if my back's feeling stiff, I won't use the belt because I want to make sure I can feel it.
Yeah.
I'm doing an RDL and I'm like, oh, my back feels a bit stiff going into this. The first set I'll do will be beltless because I'll be like, how does my back actually feel doing this with no support? If it's a big issue, I'm not going to pop a belt on and then feign the support, because if I take the belt off, but what you said about the elbow as well, this is an interesting thing that some people might take from that is, I thought I had like really bad like elbow tendonitis or something like that, or tennis elbow once. Interesting one that I went to see physio about it, and I was just like, they were feeling my elbow and they're like, we can't feel anything wrong here. And they felt my forearm was knotted the fuck.
Yeah, it's always in the forearm. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were like, they released my forearm.
So that's what tennis elbow and golfer's elbow is oftentimes a forearm issue. But honestly, it normally comes from a lack of alignment somewhere. Yeah. Like when it comes to arm work, a lot of people try and do kind of press downs or barbell curls. Barbell curls aren't as bad, but press downs, for example, nobody I know has the forearm rotation to be able to straighten their arm straight.
No.
While doing a straight bar push down, your elbows, they flare out, and then you're pressing outwards now, or diagonally outwards, as opposed to directly down, and that's a rotational force. Same goes for barbell skull crushers. That's one of the worst. I like the dumbbell variation. Even that's pretty hard to keep those elbows tucked, but a barbell is even
so
worse.
Much better.
There's no way you're keeping, if you're trying to lift the weight
at least the curved bar, Z bar.
Curved bar slightly better.
Yeah.
It depends on someone's forearm rotation, but not many people have that ability to actually get their arm straight to be able to flex it forward. Their elbows are pointing out this way. They're trying to push that way, and they're wondering why they have elbow pain. So again, it normally comes down to poor programming, poor exercise selection, and they're trying to mask that with some lifting, equipment. I do think the only time it does change is probably someone like yourself actually that's lifting quite heavy loads and it's trying to go very far with either powerlifting, Olympic lifting, whatever, or maybe CrossFitters at a high level. There is a lot of stress in your joints. You're an athlete, regardless, you can't change your program, you can't change the training volume, because that's what you got to do to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
You have to use these tools because
it's also, say for instance, it creates 0.5% difference, or even if the fact that naturally an elbow sleeve or a knee sleeve will keep your joint a little bit warmer. If that like I want to be as the best bodybuilder I could possibly be, if that's going to give me 0.5% to a percentage difference, I'll take it. Yeah. So relative there. And also you only using them, for example, the knee sleeves now I will only use in a top set hack or leg press for that extra support. If I'm doing a back off set, I take them off. Yeah. Same way if I'm doing a heavy chest press, I use an elbow sleeve. If I'm not going to keep them on. Like I see people wearing like the wrist wraps and the elbow wraps the entire push session, and I'm like, dude,
that's absurd.
You don't need elbow sleeves for a tricep push down, man.
I've seen some crazy stuff, man. I've seen someone with a belt on for a lat pull down machine.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, what? Or wearing a belt for
what's going on there?
Push. I'm like,
what kind of
what are you doing?
Mechanics is this? Like,
that's like having a knee problem and wearing a neck brace just in case. I'm like, what are you doing?
Crazy, mate. Okay, cool. Then we've got foam rolling. So to be honest, we could probably say massage in general.
Yeah.
So massage, is it overrated or underrated? I know you just said you liked it, but carry on. What do you think?
I'd say it's underrated because I don't think enough people look after themselves enough in general. I think I could call out a few of my clients who definitely need to focus on their recovery more. And I look at them, for instance, but that's not even just massage. I'm looking at their sleep, I'm looking at their hydration, and they're asking me, well, this isn't moving this way, this isn't moving that way. I'm like, look at the basics first. Look at your recovery. It's not there. And I do think that more people would benefit from like massages and just getting the muscles a bit looser. Maybe especially if you've got a massive build up of fascia, it's definitely worthwhile just getting that loosened and getting that lifted off the bone or off the muscle. And like you said, increasing the blood flow potential. There are definitely more important things to focus on, such as sleep, hydration, protein intake, just general rest. I do think it's underrated because I think a lot of people benefit from it. Not enough people get it done. Yeah. Personally.
Yeah. So, I mean, for context, this is a pretty boring thing to say, but I did my first dissertation on foam rolling. So the mechanism behind how massage works, it's quite complicated, but it's fairly proven now. And it's because I know that, it makes things a little bit different. So the way massage really does work, it doesn't do anything to the muscle. Like it takes thousands of pounds of pressure to the muscle to actually change anything. So when people say knots aren't a thing. Like they don't exist. We think they exist. We feel something like, there's something going on here. What they used to think is there's like a realignment of the muscle fibers. Like muscle fibers are like falling out of line and then we push them back into place. That's just it's not how it works. It's all a nervous system thing. Like you essentially feel tightness for a reason. Sometimes because the muscle's weak, sometimes in certain instances. Massage is a very complicated one. It's more of a nervous system change, to be honest. And I know you mentioned fascia, which this is, obviously I've written 10,000 words on this. So this is where it gets interesting. So fascia.
I'm only going off fascia based on what massage therapists have told me, by the way.
Yeah.
So
this is the thing. Some sports therapists, they're in a very tricky position because the research does not support what they do. Same goes for chiropractors. The research behind what sports therapists, well, not sports therapists, more so massage specialists, right?
Yeah.
It's very ropey. Like, it's not, essentially what it says is not a long lasting change. And the same goes for foam rolling, same goes for a lot of manual therapy techniques. Anything you do on the skin, you're not making any structural change. So if there's something wrong with the muscle, you're not doing anything by poking it. Can you increase blood flow? Yeah. That, again, I think that's as far as it goes. Where I think it can still be underrated with massage is that there's a mental benefit. Like, it's quite a relaxing process, of getting a massage. If you get deep tissue, I actually think you can go the other way. If it's too deep, if it's painful, I think that's not the best for recovery. I think you want to have the best massage you can have is essentially something that's relatively firm, but you can still relax. If it's too deep, you're going to lock up and your muscles aren't going to relax. Your muscles aren't actually going to receive a good massage. But yeah, I think there's still a place for massage for sure, because it does force you in a situation where for an hour you're relaxed. And just the process of getting a massage is quite peaceful, it's quite relaxing. And that can calm your nervous system, which then can just loosen up your body. And I think there is a place for that. If someone was to have a massage every 2 weeks versus not having a massage at all for a year, I think you're going to notice the difference for sure. But I don't think it's not as powerful as people think it is. If it is powerful, it's kind of up here more so than here.
what about for like pre-show lymphatic drainage, things like that? Like, because I see, you see bodybuilders, they get their pre-show massage.
I've had a lymphatic drainage massage, and that was the leans. So again, we've got to look at the evidence. We've got to look at the evidence, and it's sketchy, man. There's no real, like, lymphatic drainage, in theory, is not even really a thing. But people would say you can get a massage, and the idea of pushing fluids around your body, like physically pushing, it doesn't make too much sense. Because let's take a rugby game, for example. If we're saying that massage really does change the structure of muscle, and if we're really saying that lymphatic drainage, like pushing your body, pushes fluids around your body, if you're doing jiu-jitsu, if you're doing rugby, you'll just fall apart. Your body will just fall to bits. If we're saying it's that easy to manually move things around in your body and change muscle fibers, think about the pressure you're getting applied to via a massage versus rugby. Or
100-kilo lad just actually,
it's a lot more. And you're telling me there's no change to your body. Well, obviously you get hurt, but there's no kind of, you don't kind of like reduce any muscle tension from getting nailed in a rugby match, right? It doesn't really make sense. And again, when you look at the evidence and read it back to front, essentially the conclusion that most people come to is it's a nervous system change, not a structural one. So you're not actually ever realigning muscle fibers. You're not really loosening anything. Same goes for fascia. It takes thousands of pounds for you to actually change any fascia, which for those who don't know what fascia is, it's a layer between the skin and the muscle. And it's essentially like a really dense material. Like if you were to pull out, it's a real firm, like, sheath of whatever it is.
You can feel it, like I can feel it in my hip.
It's like thousands of pounds of pressure. If you were to pull that out of an animal, there's no change in that. You're not changing that at all with massage. You'll actually break a limb before you actually change the structure of the fascia. So when people say, it's normally massage therapists that are kind of trying to back up their own product. Honestly, a lot of the time it's waffle, mate. It's waffle, just trying to sell you their services, which again, they're not. There's benefit to it, because mentally I enjoy a massage. I get a massage every couple of months and I like it. Does it fix everyone's problems? I've sent people to some sports therapists and they've come away no issues whatsoever. I don't know if that's psychological, maybe something happened there, but most of the time it's short-term relief. So yeah, the question was foam rolling, and foam rolling is the same mechanism. It's short-term relief, which again, even that has a benefit though. Again, if you've got like a tight area, say I get really tight quads, so I still get massages on my quads. I still do foam roll on my quads. I do stretch them out after that. And again, stretching is the same boat. It's a short-term thing. Everything will tighten up eventually, but you can at least loosen up short-term to make some long-term changes. With the long-term changes, to be honest, are managing your training load and training through a 4-range of motion. Those are literally the two solutions. Someone has a problem, say someone has tight hamstrings. They're not tight because they need more massages or they need to stretch more. They're weak in a length and range. That's really the reality of any muscle. If you've got tight pecs, you're not training through that length and range. Same goes for all muscles. If you've got pain in your neck, you've probably got a weak neck, to be honest. Again, that's really simple.
Weak neck.
Yeah, to be honest, if someone's got a problem somewhere, it gets a bit more complicated when it comes to like forearm issues, because sometimes you use your forearm too much and you get inflamed, and then you do need to go see a massage therapist to kind of relax it a little bit. And then you can put in some long-term form of therapy, physical therapy. But it's quite a complicated topic, man. But really, the gist of it is, if you were to go through a big body of research on massage, it's going to tell you it doesn't actually do anything long-term.
Tell you what, mate, like you should do, because I didn't know that your level, like you might as well have just like taken that whole section yourself, because like your level of research, like I said, my level on like massage therapy comes from what massage therapists have
Well, that's
told
not what
me.
we do, right? That's not what we do. We're coaches,
But
right?
well, I don't know. You seem to know your.
I mean, when I was
Have you
in
ever thought about doing, like, did you ever think about doing massage therapy?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I was
100%.
going to say, yeah.
At one point, I did want to be a jack of all trades and do a bit of everything. Like, have that strength and conditioning side to me. And then when people have issues, my clients have issues, I can treat them myself.
Yeah.
I can use massage the way it's supposed to be used, which is a short-term relief, and then implement a long-term solution via rehab, and then essentially be on both ends. Whereas normally what happens with people is they go to see a physio or they go see a soft tissue therapist, whatever, and they get sold a solution, which they say is long-term, but it's actually short-term, or they get you to come back in frequently, which is how they make their money generally, without the long-term solution.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go see someone else for the long-term solution. That's why I personally just send people straight to a physiotherapist, a very good physiotherapist, and essentially get a diagnosis and a way forward. That's normally the solution. If you like massage, it's fair enough. I'll get a Thai massage every now and again. I made that sound really weird.
Yeah,
That's
you
not
did.
good, is
You
it?
did.
That's not good. Not that type of
This is
massage.
like what you said. There's because I when I was last coming into or out of prep, I think it was out of prep. I was getting a sports massage at the old gym I went to in Kent. The guy I went in because I was like, my lower in particular was just battered. It was post show, of course it was going to be. And I paid for the first session, and it was like X amount for an hour. He did one leg. He said my leg was so bad. He was like, you're going to have to come in again to do the other leg. So I ended up paying for 2 per week. Right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg. Didn't even touch the upper body because my legs were that bad apparently. And I'm just like, now hearing that, I'm just like, would you just scam me?
So you say they were bad. What do you mean they were bad? They felt really tight.
Just achy. I had a lot, like I said, a lot of fascia down the outside of my leg that I can literally feel to the touch. Like if you came around here, probably not on camera.
So just really tense, really firm, really like.
Yeah. And in like have you seen my legs tensed in the photos that I post? Have you seen how the left leg, like I get the separation between the VMO and the other really, really prominently?
Yeah.
Right leg just doesn't have it.
Okay, so here's a like a weird, not proposition, but
Can't shoot me.
Let's say you were knocked out cold.
Yep.
Do you think your legs would be like that?
Probably not. No. Well, this is the thing.
So this is the thing. This is the evidence that says that it's a nervous system thing. Like your nervous system is essentially your muscles are super tense.
Yeah.
Because of this, not because of this. So you can massage someone till the cows come home, and it might work. It might actually relax your nervous system to relax that area, and then it's technically worked. But you've got to think what caused it. And I would say that's a training volume thing, which happens with all bodybuilders. We all operate on a slightly higher training volume. People that have really high training volume get this problem quicker, but it builds up over time. And I would say, was that in a competition prep? Thing is, you can't avoid it. I think competition prep's the only one time that you're kind of battling, you're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
You're going to be fatigued. Your sleep's going to be crap. For most people, your recovery's going to be poor unless you pull your training volume down. But even then, the steps, the cardio, it's all fatigue and it's battering you. So you need to do anything you can to kind of fight off that fatigue, whether it's a nervous system thing or muscular, whatever. So I think you did the right thing there, because like, what are you going to do? Just, you can't get out of that situation without massage. So I think that situation is suitable. But again, the mechanism as how that works is still a nervous system thing. It's crazy how that works.
I do think now on reflection, I can see sometimes my right leg does it. Sometimes, like this week's checking photos, if you look at last week's checking photos, again, I can do this quickly because we have Wi-Fi. I'll show you what I mean. So, did I post them yesterday? I don't think I did. All right. So last week's, look at my right quad versus my left.
Oh yeah,
see?
yeah.
Versus this week's.
I'm not questioning this, but you got to be
your wife.
Oh yeah, look, but you got to be careful that it's not like a posing thing there.
Well, that's
it's
what
hard
I was
to
going
keep your quads on.
This week's, suddenly it's the right leg's coming through a bit more. Yeah. So I have been thinking, I was like, is it just that I don't know how to turn on my right quad? I just can't do it.
So I really struggle to keep my quads on. When you think about the upper body, I really struggle
quad,
to keep the upper quad on.
The left quad I can keep on all day.
Yeah.
Easy. I just know, but I'm thinking, can I just not do that?
The thing is, what's the other alternative? Like, that it's water retention over one quad. I just think that's incredibly unrealistic. And I do see people, they get a massage and, there's more separation. But I think what happens there is the massage fills the muscle with blood. And then the muscles are fuller. And then you see more separation because the muscle's fuller. Yeah, whereas they make out like, oh, they've pushed water and they've created more separation. That's not happening. Yeah. That's not happening. But yeah, I think to wind back to foam rolling, I would say it's overrated, but not overrated that much. Because I think people could foam roll and get massage and have a better quality of life, to be honest. Like if someone has a problem, like I have really tight quads. So instead of I do change my program to do kind of full range of motion, like sissy squats or Nordics or whatever, but sometimes I don't want to do them in my program, so my quads do get really tight. And the solution is foam rolling and stretching before bed, and I do it like 2-3 times a week. Probably should do it more, and it helps me. So it's underrated for certain people. I'd say it's overrated on the whole road. Like massage, people spend a lot of money on massage, and they do not actually treat the core issue, which it should be. Yeah.
I'm not even going to say if I think it's overrated or underrated. I think just trust what Lloyd said. 100%.
I mean, that's.
I don't have any. I don't have anything that I will add to that. That's.
I mean, when I first did that dissertation, I originally thought that foam rolling. I was like, hang on, you can give yourself like a beneficial massage, and you can do it like whenever you want. Like, why are people
and you
not
can give
doing this more?
A happy ending without it being inappropriate as well.
Yeah, I was just a big fan. I was like, hang on, we've got all these massage tools. Same goes for massage guns, by the way, and rolling sticks or whatever. Same thing, you know. I actually find massage guns even worse. I find that's called percussion therapy. That's just like constantly hitting yourself. And it kind of makes sense that if you've got tight quads and you're constantly hitting the skin, like you're going to be distracted by that and you're not going to feel your quads anymore. So it's kind of like a nervous system.
True.
Same goes for like, it's a very similar mechanism to like Kinesio tape or...
I've never understood that. I'm not gonna. I've not done any in-depth research with that tape.
The evidence is ropey, but again, it does kind of work. It shouldn't work. The sticky, the sensation of having that on your skin essentially does something up here to help you forget feeling pain in that area. Same goes for Tiger Balm. Same goes for Deep Heat. It's a weird sensation.
When I first saw people wearing the tape, but this was before I'd ever even thought about what it was. I assumed it was like a slow release ibuprofen gel was like taped on. That's the only, because I thought like surely they've not got an injury and they just like, oh, I'll put some tape on that bit. Like I was like, there's no way that's it. So I thought like, was it like a slow release ibuprofen or a deep heat gel or something that's on there? And then someone said that's like what it actually does, and I was like, ain't no way.
Yeah,
I was like, no way.
I think really smart sports therapists know how to play the game. Yeah, they're gonna tell you that this will fix the problem. Yeah, they'll make you believe that it'll fix the problem. They'll deliver whatever they're going to deliver: acupuncture, dry needling, cupping, the scrapey tools, whatever those are, Graston therapy, whatever it's called, and the tape, Kinesio tape. They'll use this on you and kind of give you such confidence that it's going to work, that it does work because it's placebo. And again, if you've got tape on there, I've finally done something for my shoulder. Yeah, it's going to work. You buy into it. Yeah. And then the pain goes, and then it works, and then you tell your friends, and everyone's got a sports therapist or massage. This is how that kind of industry works. Chiropractor as well. It's kind of like a different kettle of fish, but some would say that's very similar as well. I don't know if you've seen some of these YouTube videos where people go in with a bad neck and then getting their toes cracked. Yeah, it doesn't quite make sense, and vice versa. If someone's got like a bad hip, they're still getting their neck cracked. Yeah, what's going on here? What's going on? When we break down what's being done there in terms of like the gas being released from your joints. So what you're not getting your spine realigned.
That sound. I tried to keep my cool then. I hate that.
What about the neck?
No, I hate it, man. I hate it.
If that comes up on camera, that would be actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was,
I am my own camera. I can do my back as well. Do you want to do it?
No, back doesn't bother me.
Wait,
go on.
Do you hear that?
No.
Maybe the mic did. Otherwise,
back cracking doesn't bother me. Fingers and toes, phalanges cracking bothers me because I just think,
it's just gas being released from the joint. It's just one of those. But
I can't deal with like wrist. When people are like, I don't remember what it's called now. That's how tight. Oh my god, what's it called when people have hypermobile?
Yeah.
When people can like bend their wrist right, I hate it. I can't.
Freaky, man.
I find it horrible. Anytime there's like a horror movie, so like Saw for example. I don't like that stuff. Doesn't bother me. I can watch the saw traps where people get like sawed. It doesn't bother me. Like I just think. It's not gore. I know it's fake for one thing, and two, it's like gore. It doesn't bother me. What the one scene in Saw that got me was when the guy was trying to climb out.
Oh, I know what you're on about. Yeah,
that's
brutal.
I turned it straight off. I can't do like wrists and fingers bending. Yeah. Nah, not for me. Anyway,
you mean when the walls are closing in?
Yeah, that scene.
That's mad.
Him getting squished, the body didn't bother me.
The bone popping out.
No. But anyway,
I can't be doing.
Should we do one more? Because we're about 50 odd minutes.
Oh man, we've gone too quick. No, we got a few more. We'll quick fire these. Deload weeks.
Oh, that depends who you ask. Like, because literally, like for instance, I think. Oh, that is a tough one to answer. That one.
All right, I'll go first. Yeah. So I'd say pretty neutral because, like you say, it depends on the person. If you're new to the gym, you're not training hard, you don't need deloads. And also, life will happen, and
you'll naturally.
There's no point planning a deload because you'll be ill, you'll be away, you'll miss some sessions, some stuff will come up. If you're more advanced, I would say they're overrated because you should be training with a recoverable volume. This is where I personally think most people do too much training volume, and they cause themselves more fatigue than they need to. And come 8 weeks to 12 weeks or whatever, they feel like they need a deload. Yeah. I would say that's a sign that's too much volume. So I would say, again, they're probably on the side of overrated personally. But yeah, I very rarely have clients where they're like, done a consistent 12 weeks and they haven't had at least 3-4 days off to reduce some fatigue. That's kind of like a mini deload. Yeah, I do one every kind of 10 to 12 weeks or so. And I normally have 5 days off.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
That's what I was going to say. When it comes to deloading, I think a full deload week, that's overrated. No, I don't think there's a applicable place for that. Unless, like you said, unless it falls, you're going on holiday, someone doesn't want to train because they just want to have the week off, they want to just be on holiday, or there's no gym where they are, that's fine. But where there's merit to, like, for instance, if I'm deloading people now, I will look upon why they're potentially looking at needing to deload, and therefore what would be best for them. So if someone comes to me and they're like, my joints feeling a bit achy, they're an older individual, I might say to them, okay, let's look at let's do a de-intensify deload. So we'll run the same amount of volume that we've done, but instead of training to 0 reps in reserve, I want you training to 4 or 5 reps in reserve across all your sets.
That's what Kuba does.
So or we can go, okay, so you're feeling good, your muscles are you're feeling a bit fatigued, battered, you're just feeling a bit, let's do a de-volume. So you just go into the gym and do one effective set of all movements, and you bring the volume down. So you can play with your deload based on what you feel like you need or what would benefit the individual. So
overrated or underrated, would you say?
I'd say I'm neutral with it because I think too many people nowadays just chuck a deload in for the sake of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people also say you should never deload. I'm like, there is time and place for a deload, but some people just be like, right, so here's your program, bro, and what we're going to do is you got weeks 1 to 8. This is like shit coaches. 1 to 8, we're going to train here, and then we're going to deload, and then we're going to do the next 1 to 8, and then we're going to deload, and they plan the deloads in. I'm like,
that makes sense. So there was actually someone who, I might say it is a coach I actually respect, I think is really, really good. I think it was a handful of coaches doing this at one point. They were having a deload every 6 weeks, so they're purposefully tapering volume up very quickly, overreaching, and then doing a deload to essentially super.
For one of his,
he's someone that does fall into that category. There's a few other guys that do that as well. I'm sure he's listening and getting offended, right? But yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you're purposely putting your body into a compromised position for injury, and like it just doesn't make sense. When we look at the volume research, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Like, overreaching to super compensate, it doesn't happen. That's not a thing.
No.
There might be inflammation. You might be super inflamed, and you'll drop inflammation. It's just not the best way to build muscle, in my opinion. And also, if you add that up across the year, that's a lot of weeks off training, and that doesn't make any sense. Let's do one more quick one. We've actually got loads more, so we'll probably do another one of these.
Split this up, yeah.
We'll do this another time because there's so many more. We've got personal training, we've got intra-workout carbs, we've got training with a partner, carnivore diet. We'll do one more, which is diet drinks.
Diet drinks. I think
so. Sugar-free,
like
drinks we're on about, fizzy drinks.
I'd say they're overrated now, personally, actually, because for example, the last diet drink I had, I don't remember. I don't do Monsters anymore or anything. I just do black coffee.
I've not had any drink this year, mate.
Me neither.
That was like a New Year's resolution I set to myself. And there's a few of them that I'm still going really strong on, and that's one of them. I'm like, let's just do coffees and
I think on prep I might put a couple of it.
Monsters again. Monsters
on prep. It's also just so sweet. It's so tasty.
Like, man, I've done one a day. That's the problem.
I'll look forward to a Monster on prep, but right now, whenever I have a fizzy drink, I'm like, because I'm in off season, I'm not hungry for like 2 hours afterwards. I can't carbonation.
So that's one of the benefits of them is that, that's one of the things I do like about them. If someone's really struggling on a lower calorie diet, really has a sweet tooth and literally just cannot get over that, then a diet drink can be useful. I've had them. I've actually put them in place purposely into my diet to try and make it a little bit easier and hit my sweet tooth. I'm not a fizzy drink guy. The only thing I don't like about them is I do have clients, quite a few, that sweetener does just not sit right with them. So I have clients that could have a bottle of Pepsi Max and it messes their stomach up, and the frustrating thing for me is they keep doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be listening to this, but Belle's one of them, actually. She's minimised it now. I know, right?
God damn it,
she doesn't do it in peak week or anything like that, but she's narrowed it down to one a week. But it used to be kind of one every couple of days. And it's like, you're getting a bad stomach after having this. Let's put 2 and 2 together. It's
Take it out.
Yeah, exactly right. So sweetener for most people, even in other things, can cause them havoc. So I'm personally, it's one of those things. I think we've got the bodybuilder mindset where it's like, if it causes you any kind of issue or don't have it, just don't take it. That's kind of the logical thing to do. But we operate a little bit differently to like normal people, where if it's nice, they want to have it. So it's kind of like, it's one of those. It's finding, if you have no digestion issues from it and it doesn't cause you any issues whatsoever, then fair enough. There might be a good place for it. Could fill you up. Otherwise, I just don't think it's necessary, really. So I think it's.
I agree. I think there's too much of a hype. What I prefer now is if I want a tastier drink, I just squash. It's just the carbonation for me. I just can't. It just doesn't do anything for me anymore.
Yeah, I don't need.
I used to. This was the thing. Like anyone that knows me would know that I could never do a drive that was over an hour without a white Monster or without a Monster drink. It was like literally the amount of times I'd be running.
Never had a white Monster.
I'd be running like what?
Yeah, I know. People say it's the best one. I've just
never had a white Monster.
Mate, I've never had a white Monster. I've never had a Dr Pepper in my life. I've never had
Pepper.
I've never had Pepsi in my life either.
You've never had a Pepsi Max?
Yeah.
Way better than Diet Coke.
Well, I'll never
Coke
know.
Zero.
No, I'm really stubborn. I'm really stubborn. There's not many people I speak to that haven't had those drinks, and now I'm like, actually, that's kind of something. It's kind of something weird and different. So I'm going to carry it on.
See, my opinion on that is like, I don't think you should be allowed to compete in bodybuilding amateur shows if you have never had a white Monster.
I've done it.
It's such a cliche.
I've broken the rule.
You should get all of your medals taken away.
All my medals. How well do you think I did? I got one second place medal. That's it.
Yeah, but you got participation medals.
I knew you went pro in IFBB, but I thought no.
but honestly, yeah, that's baffling. But yeah,
I know.
So I'd say I agree. I'd say like they're overrated massively. Like everyone raves about them, but I'm just like,
I agree.
I don't think you need them. Once you cut them out, you won't miss them. I don't miss them. Put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. Mate, we've got so many more topics to do, so we'll save these for another time.
Yeah, I think we're about just under an hour. I think, which is
perfect.
Good amount of time.
Hope everyone enjoyed.
Yeah, we'll call that here.
Catch you on the next one.
Thank you very much, guys.
Look at this angle, by the way, before everyone goes.
I know, yeah. It's not bad, is it? It's not bad. I mean, do you know what I wore this just before we go off?
I mean, you look massive.
I wore this.
I definitely need to get close to the camera.
Yeah, we see it.
There you go.
There we go. So both, actually, we both just sit as close. I'm now not in frame.
Right. Bye. See you on the next one.
See you later, guys. Take care.